measures the extent to which someone's a desirable mating partner, and it's really rooted in evolutionary psychology. So it's getting at how much someone will enhance someone else's reproductive success. And the thing is in the mate value literature right now, they're mainly measuring just general mate value with questions like, I believe I'm a desirable partner or something like that. Or they'll have listed these traits and they'll, load them onto how desirable someone is or how attractive they are to the opposite sex. The issue with that, though, is that the literature so far has failed to distinguish between short-term and long-term mate value. And we posit that those are two entirely different constructs. And so in order to see how these two constructs map on with traits mapping on to abstract mate value, we created 4 different measures: self-reported general mate value, long-term mate value, and short-term mate value, and then self-reported mate value traits. So what we had participants do is we had 38 women rate themselves on these traits here and assess the degree to which they possess those traits. And then we also had them rate themselves in these self-reported mate value measures. And so an example of a self-reported general mate value question would be I believe I'm a desirable partner. An example of self-reported long-term mate value might be people who are looking for a long-term relationship are looking for me. And for short-term, it might be something like I can have as many sexual partners as I want. And so essentially what we did is we had these participants rate themselves on these traits, and then we correlated and looked at the association between these traits and their ratings, their self-reported ratings of short-term, long-term, and general mate value. And you can see how these relate here. The really interesting thing I want to point out is that while short-term mate value and general mate value related, and long-term mate value and general mate value related, there wasn't a relationship between short-term and long-term mate value. So I pretty much just proved our hypothesis there that there's a distinct difference between the two.
So do you expect a huge difference if you would have done 38 men rather than women?
Yeah, actually, I could talk about that. I would think that these would probably be pretty similar here.
Right.
But the thing that might be different is I think you would see this would be a huge correlation with long-term in general. Intelligent would, high social status. So this kind of idea that the man, and there's reasons for this too that I can get into that'll take a while. But basically, it's kind of like the idea that the man is sort of like the breadwinner, and they're the one that's providing the resources,
right.
and the woman is more just kind of attractive. Those are the sex differences you see in mate value. An interesting thing that I always point out is that I feel like even at our age, you way more often see a really attractive girl with a not as attractive guy, like physical attractiveness-wise,
right.
than the opposite way around. So a really attractive guy with a really unattractive girl. Am I right in thinking that? Is that? You feel like you see that?
I thought about it. I don't know.
Really?
You've never
you don't
thought about
see that?
No.
Oh, I thought about that.
I see that and I'm I used to be wow, and now I see that and I'm oh, yeah, that makes sense.
I've seen it.
That makes sense. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah, no problem. Good luck in your video, too. How do you...